Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, 4K, DLSS frame generation off, DLSS set to quality with very high presets selected. We're averaging 55 FPS with 1% lows of 41 FPS. Still playable, in my opinion. With DLSS frame generation on, we're seeing 63 FPS with 1% lows of 50 FPS. But if we turn DLSS frame gen off and now change DLSS to ultra performance, we're seeing 66 FPS with 1% lows of 48 FPS. And now just to show you what changing the resolution can do, we'll try 1440p with DLSS frame generation off, but DLSS back up to quality, and that gives us 73 FPS average versus the 55 at 4K, and a 1% low of 54 FPS versus 41 at 4K. So that's a 33% improvement on average between 1440p and 4K. Moving over to Resident Evil 4 Remake 4K with prioritized graphics preset, but textures bumped up from 2GB up to 8GB with ray tracing off, FSR2 set to quality, averaging 85 FPS with 1% lows of 66. Now this one really got me, but let's turn off FSR2. So we're now running native 4K and we're averaging 71 FPS with 1% lows of 60 FPS. That really got me. Now with ray tracing on high, but FSR2 set to quality again, now we're averaging 63 FPS with 1% lows of 50 FPS. Now FSR2 disabled, and that means we're back to native 4K, but with ray tracing on high, gives us weirdly the same result as FSR2 enabled, but with 1% loss in the 1% lows. So we see an average of 63 FPS with 1% lows of 49 FPS. Now I'm actually really impressed by how capable the UT3G and my 4070 are at playing modern titles at 4K, like maxed out. So yes, I am using DLSS, of course, but providing the game is at 50 FPS-ish, I actually find this extremely playable. As we saw with Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, simply changing the resolution from 4K to 1440p, everything else the same, saw an improvement of 33% gains in FPS. So of course, you could just change the resolution.